Masts come down for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes the mast comes down because someone doesn't do their tide heights correctly, or they don't check their chart closely enough, and they wind up running their mast into a bridge and demasting the boat that way, which is the case of the boat that you're seeing here. Other times, you have situations where people will leave their sails ready to go on the boat, furled up, and then a storm comes through, and they unfortunately don't take the time to take their sails down and stow them down below. And in the case of this boat, that's exactly what happened. They left the sails on the boat, furled up, a storm came through, and 140-mile-an-hour winds wound up ripping the head sail open, which then pulled the entire rig over and ran the boat alongside the dock, doing a bunch of damage, not just to the rig, demasting the boat, but also messing up the gel coat. But in the case of this 3-part series, we're going to be watching a mast being taken down by professionals on purpose so that they can do a total re-rig on a boat that has a mast that hasn't come down in like 25 years. It's going to be really cool. I hope you stick around for the series, and I'm really looking forward to learning a lot. Oh yeah, that's good. What's going on, YouTube? Sailor Smurf here. Welcome to the On Deck channel. We have a really exciting one today. We're going to be watching a rig, a mast being taken down. Watch the rigging team come alive as they pull this mast down off of a 47-foot catamaran, see what all's involved in that. Hear from Stephen Lloyd, one of the owners of the Yacht Rigger, things that you need to keep in mind when you're at this stage of the game and what to do once that mast is down in the yard. We have an appointment now to go meet up with the cruising family who lives full-time on that boat. Can't wait to get to introduce you guys to them. Yeah, man, we got to roll because that crane is incoming, so let's get into it.
Hey, my name is Felipe. This is Makai and
Hello.
Sharon.
Hi.
And I have a 1998 Lagoon 470. You know, the mast has all the equipment on the mast is still the original from 1998. The electronics have come a long way since then. And LED lights too, right? LED lights use a lot less energy than the halogens. So right now, we had all the halogen lights on our boat. So the deck light, the steam light, the anchor light, they're all, halogen lights, which use a lot of energy. So you actually see the amperage, as opposed to LED, which is like barely anything. So we thought we're going to remove the mast because, that's the best way to do it is to take the mast down. Perfect opportunity to go ahead and replace all the electronics, replace all the lights, and so that's what we're doing.
That stick's only like 80 feet tall, but they want to do a top pick because of the way the mast designed. But yeah, 80 feet. It'll be like right here.
We didn't know anything when we bought the boat. Like we knew very little. I know how to sail. She didn't really know how to sail, but I didn't know anything about big boats and how they worked. And it's just a dream that I wanted to fulfill. So we hired a captain. He told us, you really need to get your rigging checked out. This is a 1998 boat. It's 20 years old. Standing riggings kind of go bad after a while. So you want to make sure that it's good, because if something happens, it could just basically destroy your boat in a way. So he called around and he found out yacht riggers for us. And he actually called around and talked to a lot of different people, and he didn't really like what everybody was saying. But when he talked to the yacht riggers, he said that these guys know what they're talking about. You guys got to talk to them and have them see. So I was like, okay, great. So we called the yacht riggers and we got Stephen to come and take a look at the boat. He came and he took a look. He didn't see anything glaringly bad, but because of the age, and he recommended that we get it replaced.
It's paused. We'll get everything tied up.
Yeah. You want me to swim a little?
Yeah, can you move down a little bit?
Yeah.
We moved into the boat, and we didn't have anything where we had to put it on AC. We had to get it ready for it. We didn't. It was all exposed fiberglass in there because we had to take the headliner out.
All the insulation, it was like crumbling and falling out into like toxic dust. So we had to remove everything. And
so we lived on the boat, with exposed fiberglass for about a year and a half. When I used to go to sleep at night, I used to see the fiberglass and the little marks on the fiberglass that I looked at right before going to sleep. But that's when we started saving up money, because we knew we were going to have to do this, right? So we started saving up money to get the standing rigging. And 4 years later, here we are.
Lunchtime. So that was pretty cool. Watching that mast come down and just the whole orchestra of everybody moving around, having their jobs, bringing the stick down, as the cool riggers call it. It's pretty neat. It's also, when that mast comes down, a great opportunity for the boat owner to address all kinds of things that are very hard or completely unaddressable whenever your mast is upright. It's really neat to watch the rigging team and customers when they want to DIY it, to get in there and start running fresh cables inside of it as it relates to all the electrical cables, and then putting new running rigging on it, and then doing all the standing rigging. Watching the production facility make the standing rigging is really cool. We're going to see some of that in a bit. Just clean the mast as well and address a bunch of other outdated things that need to get done. If I were to buy a boat that was more than 10 years old, one of the first things I would want to do is get that mast down so I could just freshen everything up on it. It's really not all that expensive to get that mast taken down. And then you know at least that you're getting everything on the boat set up right. The customer has elected to go DIY on everything that he possibly can for this particular project. So he is going to be stripping the whole mast, putting on his radar, addressing the spreader lights, working on the masthead, getting anemometer, getting all new electronics inside of it, all kinds of stuff. So that's going to be pretty cool to see what all goes down and what that looks like. Yeah, hope there's a lot of cool things that we can learn from that. I'm excited. Oh man, that was good. Okay, let's go see what is going on with the mast and if they have it in its place where it's going to be in the yard. And also go see if we can bother Steven so he can show us what all needs to be done and addressed on the mast once it's down. Yeah, let's go. Hey Steven.
What?
Can you show me what to do once a mast is down in the yard here?
Sure. So we're doing a little bit of after the fact prep talk here because some of this has been done on this rig, but as you can see, most of the standing rigging has been removed. This is an example of one of the pieces here. So these wires were attached to the mast with pins right here. So for instance, this turnbuckle was attached right here to the mast, went up over the spreader and connected up top with this. So one of the first things you need to do when your rig is down is get the standing rigging removed, labeled, so you know what you're reproducing when you go to put it back on, because all these wires are different lengths and sizes. And yeah, remove the standing rigging and then move on to the smaller stuff, which would be to do a full electrical check over, make sure your electrical wiring is in good shape, and if not, replace it. This is a perfect opportunity with the rig being down to give your mast a complete overhaul and get a real close look at things, because when it's up, a lot of stuff is hidden or hard to deal with or hard to access. It's definitely much easier than being 75 feet in the air hanging in the bosun's chair trying to pull wires. So at this point, we can have one person standing at the top of the mast, one person at the bottom, and just pull wires in and out. Moving on from there, we want to take a close look, for example, at running rigging. So look for, this stuff is fairly tired, so look for UV damage and or some chafe damage. So this stuff is looking a little fluffy, and again, it's just really easy to deal with the rig on the ground. We can stitch a messenger loop to this and pull it out and pull a new one through with relative ease, and get our measurements really easily. It's all right here, and we have our production shop literally 30 feet away, so it makes it real simple. Something else we're gonna do on this rig, what the owner's gonna do is you can actually hear how badly these cars are moving around. There's ball bearings in here, and they're either dirty or worn at this point. So it's relatively simple, again, with the rig on the ground, to remove a section of the track. There's a bottom removable section here. Remove these cars one at a time, dump the ball bearings out into a cardboard box and inspect them, make sure they're all still round, and replace them as needed, because they will roll a whole lot better without having flat spots on them. So That will make raising and lowering the main a whole lot easier.
And then how do you clean those?
So the ball bearings are just going to be cleaned with soap and water, or soapy water, and then rinsed really well and put back in there. And there is a product called McLube One Drop. We can put a link in the description. That is really good for synthetic ball bearings. We don't want to be lubricating them with anything oil or silicone based, just because it's going to cause the balls actually to slide in the race instead of rolling. They become too slippery, and when they slide, they get flat spots worn on them, and that's when things go the wrong way. So yeah, ball bearings in every single one of these cars need to come out and be dealt with. After that, we would want to take a real close look at all of your Mast electrical and hardware. So little blocks like this, it's a real good idea to get these screws removed, replace the blocks if they're not in good order. This one's actually operating just fine, but I would definitely replace the fasteners and put some corrosion protection on them.
Are those halyard, like the flag halyard blocks?
These are flag halyard blocks,
okay.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So for burgees, etc. There were some spare lights here. These have already been removed, so they're going to be replaced and updated. This is going to be replaced with an LED light fixture. Again, it's 2023, let's get with LED. And check the wiring again, so probably replace the wiring on this if it looks a little questionable or corroded. It should be tinned marine grade wiring. The radar is being replaced on this Mast right here. And yeah, that's the plan down here. The spreader tips, real close look at the spreader tips for any significant corrosion. This is all surface, so they look pretty good, but you would want to look for cracking or deep corrosion there. Oh, the Mast track itself, again, this is another time right before the Mast goes up to give this a real good clean. And again, don't oil it because those ball bearings are going to slide, not roll. So just a really nice clean track. Again, you can see the corrosion that's being caused where the screws are in the Mast here. So we use a product called Tef Gel on every dissimilar metal that goes in this Mast. So stainless steel screws going into the aluminum Mast need to have corrosion prevention put on them. There's other products out there, Duralac, Lanacoat, Tef Gel. Tef Gel is our favorite just because it's easy to work with, and it comes in nice dispensers.
And it's like literally any screw that anytime there's just even metal on metal. Not
Any
even screws,
foreign
right?
metal on the Mast, exactly.
Yeah.
It just anodic corrosion starts to kick in, and
And you
yeah.
can back the screw out. So wasn't there a customer that had come in, you Tef Gel, did everything?
Circumnavigate.
Yeah.
Yep, and he came back, and we started pulling some hardware off the rig, and yeah, the Tef Gel was still on there. It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, and everything just came right out the Mast. And if you've ever dealt with a corroded stainless screw on a Mast, it's a bad time when it's corroded. You'll break
Yeah.
heads off and all that good stuff. So moving on up, looking at some more running rigging here, same thing. Just, this stuff is old and tired, needs to be replaced. It's,
Old and tired, I can relate.
Yep. Yeah, definitely some days better than others, right?
Yep.
And we're going to take a close look at all the sheaves or sheaves. That's another word for a pulley, the word we use. So we would want to check that they're rotating smoothly. If they're not, there could be wear and tear happening on the pin or sharp edges on the sheave that would chafe the halyard. So it's a perfect time to take these out because, again, taking these out with the Mast up is so much harder. Same thing on the Mast head. There are 2 more sheaves in here that are removed. There's a pin in here with a cover plate on the far side, but these should be pulled out and inspected and changed out. Again, all these pins will be removed and checked for corrosion, cleaned up, and put back in, again, with a little bit of Tef Gel on them because it's a stainless pin in an aluminum Mast tank. And then we get to the real kind of business end of things up here. Mast headlight's going to be replaced with LED as well. We will check over the Mast head. It's obviously very dirty right now. Birds love this location. And give it a good clean up to check for any heavy corrosion, but generally an aluminum Mast will be fine. This wind instrument has definitely seen better days. It doesn't function anymore. It's missing parts, so that's going to be replaced with a modern one. And VHF antenna, same thing. That's going to be replaced. And all the subsequent wiring that runs up here should be replaced. And also, it's a good time to check and make sure that your wiring is inside the conduit in the Mast. So there's small conduit that is mounted to the Mast wall. There's usually 2, one on the back and one on the front. But you want to make sure that your wiring's inside it because 1, wear and tear, and 2, nobody wants to lay at anchor listening to wiring clanging inside the Mast when you're trying to sleep.
And about how old is this Mast?
This Mast is, let's do the math, somewhere in the think it's a 96 boat, so 30-ish years old. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but fortunately, the aluminum mast sections themselves last a very, very long time. It's extremely unusual to have a mast section actually need to be replaced due to any kind of corrosion. It's only in very rare instances.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like cleaned up.
Yeah. So typically we start laying out the components for a re-rig. This is actually not for this particular job, but this is a real good example of the parts all laid out on the bench to make sure we have everything and check our pin sizes, make sure it's all going to fit, and put some labels out and basically just start laying things out. And then this is an example of we're actually reusing some turnbuckle bodies the customer requested on this one, but then some of the stuff is brand new. And yeah, just the stuff's getting ready to be swaged up by the swage machine at the end here.
In the next episode, we're going to be looking at Felipe, the boat owner, install hardware onto the mast, as well as looking at his line and hearing from Steven about the running rigging on the boat, selecting new line, knowing when it's time to upgrade your current line. And then, very importantly, we're also going to be learning about a step that a lot of boat owners miss when they get to this stage of a re-rig on their boat. So thanks again for watching. See you in the next episode of the On Deck channel. Sailor Smurf out.